Hello, everybody, and welcome to Technology Today for June 8th, 2025. I am MayorWatt, along with the Sentient AI, who isn't available today. We would normally go over 5 articles, so it's just me flying solo. Today, we're going to talk about tiny heat bombs, full cure for HIV, and airborne toxin was detected, hydrogen from seawater, and currents from the ocean. Get it? Currents, it's energy. Anyway, and currents is from the ocean because ocean currents. Anyway, everything's powered by ohmTown.com. Go over and sign up, sign in, become a citizen. All news, no noise, because all the noise comes from this guy. All right, I'm going to see if I can go through this and highlight some of these 5 articles or something about each of these 5 articles in a quick, timely manner and see if you like it like that, or if you like more anecdotal, more deeper discussion about the stuff in this. But it's 5 interesting articles that are science-based. So let's get into it. This is the front page of ohmTown.com. That's what you would see when you normally just go over to ohmTown.com, but inside ohmTown, there are 6 main categories and 50 channels. 7 of those channels have been turned into a podcast. 6 of them are weekly, and 1 is daily, Non Sequitur news. That said, all of the news gets funneled into one category or another, basically based on the topic of the material and or the source. So if it's a highly focused science, the source, then I will manually kind of stuff it into a particular segment, like Technology Today would have tech focused sources. Well, anyway, this first article is tiny heat bombs made from biodegradable polymers could precisely target and treat diseased cells. Cornell researchers have developed a new way to safely heat up specific areas inside the body by using biodegradable polymers that contain tiny water pockets. When they're activated by near-infrared lasers, the technology basically can lead to precise and non-invasive diagnostic and therapeutic treatments, perhaps even to fight cancer. The article is over at phys.org. David Nutt, or Nutt, I don't know, it's N-U-T-T, from Cornell University put the article together. It was edited by Lisa Locke and reviewed by Andrew Zenin. Near-infrared lasers basically activate this polymer that creates heat, and then it causes enzyme activity and cell temperatures increase. The findings were reported in ACS Nano. The lead author is a postdoctoral researcher named Jinha Kwan. The project began when Ziding Tian, an associate professor of mechanical and aerospace engineering in Cornell Engineering and the paper's senior author, wanted to apply her lab's expertise in nanoscale thermal transport and energy conversion, which has applications ranging from microelectronics to space exploration and on to biomedicine. So they needed to find the right delivery system, and in coordination, they came across a paper about polylactic co-glycolic acid, or PLGA polymers, that could be triggered by near-infrared light and release said drugs. The polymer itself couldn't absorb near-infrared light, but the authors hypothesized that perhaps water was trapped inside it, and that confined water was what reacted to the light and enabled the drug release. That approach was particularly intriguing to Tian because, unlike gold nanorods or semiconducting polymers that have been used for similar purposes, PLGA polymers are biodegradable, so they won't pose any long-term risk in the body, and they are already approved by the FDA. So they tried it, and ta-da, it works, apparently. So Tian returned to Cornell from visiting the researchers, and they found it with a deeper understanding of neuromodulation and how to combine it with her lab's work in measuring thermal transport and her materials background. Dun dun. They've tried 2 different methods, single and double emulsion, to produce the PLGA nanoparticles. They only found that single emulsion, wherever water pockets are not introduced intentionally, but rather high-frequency sound waves cause water molecules to diffuse into the particles, becoming confined, resulting in smaller water pockets that counterintuitively could reach a higher temperature. 1 second. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Gasping. Scientists make breakthrough toward full cure for HIV. Guardian reports scientists at the Peter Doherty Institute for Infection and Immunity in Melbourne found a way to make the HIV virus visible, potentially laying the groundwork for ways to banish it from the body altogether. As detailed in a paper published in the journal Nature Communications, the team developed a way to send messenger RNA into cells to root out the hiding virus by fully enveloping it in a bubble of formulated fat called lipid nanoparticles, or LNPs. The genetic molecules then instruct the cells to make the virus visible. So the article is by Victor Tengerman over at Neoscope on the website futurism.com, and the deck statement says, and all of us were just sitting gasping like, wow. So their hope is that the new nanoparticle design could be a new pathway to an HIV cure. The HIV, well, it's the human immunodeficiency virus, so they call it HIV, but it's HIV virus. I don't know. It's just called HIV. Anyway, it leads to AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Basically, it's a collapse of the immune system. Despite decades of research, there's still no effective cure for the disease. Although a handful of patients have been fully cured of HIV, the treatments remain brutally complex and expensive because it's a mishmash of drugs, a cocktail, as it were. The latest research came with such surprising findings that the team didn't believe it at first. We were overwhelmed about how much night and day difference it was from not working before, and then all of a sudden it was working, and all of us were still sitting there gasping like, wow, says one of the researchers to The Guardian. So yeah, this is going to be really interesting because if they can see it, they can find it easier, they can treat it by creating a cocktail that reacts with whatever it is that's causing it to be seen. And they don't really go into what it is that's causing it. They say that previously thought impossible to deliver mRNA into HIV containing white blood cells, but thanks to new type of LNPs called LNPX, the team found a way for the cells to accept the mRNA. Pretty cool. Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. First ever airborne toxin detected in Western Hemisphere. So once in a while, scientists' research resembles detective work. Researchers head into the field with an hypothesis and high hopes of finding specific results, but sometimes there's a twist in the story that requires a deeper dive into the data. So this article is over at phys.org. The University of Colorado at Boulder put the article together. Gabby Clark over at phys.org edited it. It was reviewed by Robert Egan. And so they say here, this deeper dive at University of Colorado Boulder, researchers who led a field campaign in an agricultural region of Oklahoma and using high-tech instruments to measure how aerosol particles form and grow in the atmosphere, they stumbled upon something unexpected: the first ever airborne measurements of medium chain chlorinated paraffins, or MCCPs, a kind of toxic organic pollutant in the Western Hemisphere. The results, published on the 8th, actually the 6th, this is a weekly show, the 6th, was published in ACS Environmental AU, I think Gold. So it's very exciting as a scientist to find something unexpected like this that we weren't looking for. And we're starting to learn more about this toxic organic pollutant that we know is out there and that we need to understand better. MCCPs are currently under consideration for regulation by the Stockholm Convention, a global treaty to protect human health from long-standing and widespread chemicals. Well, you know, if you don't look, then the problem doesn't exist, right? Anyway, they're often found in wastewater as a result because they're used in construction of PVC and textiles, and polyvinyl chloride is actually very dangerous. If you work with a laser, don't ever cut anything that has PVC in it. It turns into acid, hydrochloric acid. So in Oklahoma, researchers suspect the MCCPs they identified came from biosolid fertilizer in the fields near where they set up their instrument. You don't have that with hydroponics, but you also have to work at a certain scale and cost. So yeah, humans take advantage of the fact that farms basically just run off of the sun and water. Well, anyway, MCCP's little cousins, short-chain chlorinated paraffins, or SCCPs, are currently regulated by the Stockholm Convention and since 2009 by the EPA here in the United States. Regulation came after studies found that the toxic pollutants, which travel far and last a long time in the atmosphere, were harmful to human health. I know, it's a shocker, right? Oh, if you want today's articles, you can just hit exclamation point and then TT for Technology Today, and ohmTown will spit the articles out into the chat. All right, let's keep on going, though. The next article is over in Technology Today. It's the name of the show. Game-changing new technology can squeeze hydrogen from seawater. A new electrode enables scalable hydrogen production from seawater, offering a clean, desalination-free solution for arid coastal regions. Researchers at the University of Sharjah, or Sharjah, I don't know, started to say it like, what's his name, Goldmember or whatever, Faja. So anyway, the University of Sharjah, if that's not how you pronounce it, then send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com. They've developed new technology that can produce clean hydrogen fuel directly from seawater and at an industrial scale. It was published in the journal Small, apparently. Kind of fascinating. University of Sharjah put the article together. It's over at scitechdaily.com. The deck statement says a new electrode enables scalable hydrogen production. So what is this? We developed a novel multi-layered electrode that can extract hydrogen directly from seawater efficiently and sustainably. The traditional methods face a host of problems, mainly corrosion and performance degradation caused by chloride ions in seawater. Basically, it gets encased in chloride, and then it decomposes and loses its efficiency, and it's just a hot mess. You have to clean it all the time. So the team designed a custom-built electrode that, according to Dr. Ulhak, overcomes these issues by creating a protective and reactive microenvironment that boosts performance while resisting damage. The research offers a potential breakthrough by presenting a method for producing hydrogen directly from seawater, avoiding the need for freshwater resources. So, in short, they've demonstrated that direct seawater electrolysis is not only possible, but scalable, delivering industrial level efficiency. And I think that we should be using hydrogen fuel cells instead of anything else, particularly solar. It's not defensible. It's not portable. It's not a long-term solution. And the batteries in and of themselves fail, and nobody is really accounting that. Anyway, in their study, the researchers described their device as a microenvironment engineered multi-layer electrode designed for sustainable seawater electrolysis, a geometric current density of, I'm not sure, this is getting a little too deep into this. But I think it's 1 amp per cubic centimeter in real seawater at an overpotential of 420 millivolts. With no hypochlorite formation and outstanding operational stability for 300 hours at room temperature. So they say that the electrical input was converted into gas output, achieving a Faradaic efficiency of 98%. That has to be wrong math. Anyway, the anode design achieves an industrially viable current. Yeah, I would say so at 98% efficiency. Even if you needed a ton of them, they would be more efficient than standard electrolysis with current electrodes. So pretty cool. It says a protective film extends lifetime. It runs for 300 hours. It says over 300 hours without performance loss, resisting corrosion that usually destroys similar systems, and it acts as an electrostatic shield protecting the electrodes multiple layers from dissolution. So pretty cool. All right. And our last article is over in Technology Today. Ocean currents can generate electricity, and this study shows that Africa's seas have some of the strongest. I've always thought that we should be doing this by tying a generator that's like piston-like that goes up and down in the waves, but has a greater range to drive a like a piston-like generator. It's not solar, it's mechanical, it relies on the waves. You just have to be in a wavy area, and the amount of energy generated is at parity with the size of the waves pulling up and pushing down a piston that turns a turbine. So the world's oceans cover more than 70% of Earth's surface, by the way, and that's indefensible as well. Just like dams aren't as defensible as some would like to think. Anyway, marine energy is much more predictable and reliable than many other forms of renewable energy because, unlike the sun and wind, which regularly do not produce electricity, ocean currents never stop moving around the planet as long as those are... There needs to be enough energy in those currents to actually create energy. So some areas, not so much. But I think waves, not currents themselves. But anyway, new researchers found that the eastern and southeastern coasts of Africa have currents that put them among the most potential locations for ocean energy production. But this is kind of a niche location, right? The article is by James H. Van Zwyten Jr., Gabriel Alcinas, Masan Sandojapur, and Yufei Tang from The Conversation. Lisa Locke edited it, and Andrew Zenin reviewed it. So the new researchers found that the eastern and southeastern coasts of Africa have currents that put them among the world's top potential locations for ocean energy production. Ocean currents contain kinetic energy that can be converted into electrical power using turbines. This is kind of interesting. Just hearing the title, I basically spelled out the rest of this article. And it's easy to talk about it when you know a little bit about it. Putting it into motion is something different. So this is similar to offshore wind farms or wind turbines positioned in the ocean that convert wind to energy. The difference is that converting ocean currents to energy means that turbines would float on the surface or just under the surface of the ocean. The electricity they generate can be brought to shore using power cables under the sea, as is currently done with wind turbines in the sea. They looked at 30 years of water velocity data, measurements of how fast the water moves, and they got data from drifting buoys in the ocean. And it's that drifting buoy thing that really has me, wherever you have a buoy, you could have that piston as a solid rod that moves up and down at the sea floor, or have one that is neutrally buoyant sitting below, and it basically just like an accordion, right? Just compresses and expands. So there's 1,250 of these buoys floating around the world's oceans today, and they're designed to follow the water circulation in the ocean so that they can constantly measure the speed and direction of ocean currents. They aren't blown around by the wind. They transmit information about ocean currents via satellite so that they can be made publicly available and used by scientists. So they looked at 43 million measurements of ocean current speed and direction over 30 years. And so now the prototypes that they developed and tested at sea go back as far as 1985. There are no ocean current turbines feeding power to electrical grids at present, though. This delay between testing the prototypes and getting turbines up and running has happened because of technical challenges in setting up the system in deep water offshore environments, which, I suspect that's going to be a problem. The new and advanced systems are being developed and tested off the waters of Florida, North Carolina, Japan, Taiwan. Engineers in South Africa and Mexico are also investigating the potential for ocean current turbine systems. So pretty cool. All right. Well, we are going to follow the current, and that's going to lead us back to Technology Today over at ohmTown.com. Go over there and become a citizen. Sign up, sign in. You can parse all of the news. You can submit it for a review, an article that you might want in the next episode of either Technology Today or Non Sequitur News. You can just send that link to mayor@ohmTown.com for evaluation. So that is it for today. I'm MayorWatt, and I'll see you later.